If sex keeps sending you into that spiral where fear just keeps building, your performance collapses, your confidence gets smaller every time, and you lose your erections, you're not broken and you're not stuck there forever. So, a guy in my free community had been stuck in performance anxiety for 9 months solid. He felt hopeless and broken. But once he started breaking the loops I'm going to talk about today, his confidence came back stronger than ever, and he had the best sex of his life just a few weeks later. So watching men rebuild their trust in themselves and watching them come back stronger than before is one of the most powerful things that I've ever seen in my life. And I want that for you. So today I'm going to show you the 3 hidden loops that trap most men and how you can start breaking them. So you can rebuild your confidence, you can rebuild your connection, and you can rebuild your life, one win at a time. But stopping the spiral isn't about some mental trick. It's about seeing the bigger picture, the invisible feedback loops that you've been stuck in without even realizing it. Because once you can actually see how these loops work, you can start breaking them. And when you break them, everything in your sex life changes. So if you want to get consistent hard erections every time and relax and enjoy sex, you have to deal with these feedback loops. A feedback loop is simple. It's when an action creates a result, and then the result circles back and it influences the next action. And these two continue to influence each other. Sometimes that loop builds you up, sometimes it drags you down. So for example, saving money, investing it, making more money, using that to save more, this is a positive loop. So working out, getting a compliment, feeling better, and then working out more, that's another positive one. But the wrong loops, especially around sex, they can quietly pull you into a downward spiral that just feels impossible to escape from. It leaves you feeling hopeless. So today I'll show you the 3 biggest loops that trap men sexually and how to start flipping them into your favor. So the first and most dangerous loop is what I call the compounding fear spiral. And it's similar to one that we're going to talk about later, but they're a little different, so pay attention. The compounding fear spiral is not about what happens during one sexual experience. It's actually a pattern that builds across multiple sexual experiences over time. So you lose an erection once. Maybe you were just tired. Maybe you're distracted. Maybe you're stressed. Maybe your mind was just still on work. But next time, you remember that failure. And now you're anxious it'll happen again. The anxiety actually tenses your body and your mind, making it harder to stay erect before you've even started the sexual experience. And then this triggers more anxiety, and the cycle compounds. Fear feeds fear until you start dreading sex before it even begins. This spiral doesn't stay still. It compounds. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. Most guys think they need a magic fix, but the real fix is to just reverse the momentum of the spiral. You have to build a new one in the opposite direction. Every time you get an erection, even for a moment, every time you stay relaxed a little longer, every time you move through a full sexual experience, these wins might feel small, but they matter hugely because momentum doesn't come from one giant leap. It comes from small wins stacked on top of each other until trust actually becomes stronger than fear. So the second loop is a real-time collapse that happens during sex itself. It's what I call the physical spiral. So this is the one that happens during sex. You start to approach the part of sex where you failed last time. Maybe it's a certain position that triggers it. Maybe it's the moment after you start penetration. Maybe it's just when things start to get serious and you know sex is coming up. But your body remembers. Your mind jumps in, is this happening again? You start monitoring yourself, checking if you're hard enough, if you're feeling enough, if you're performing right. And the monitoring just pulls you out of the moment and just out of your body. It triggers the mental tension and the physical tension. And tension kills blood flow. So your blood flow drops, your panic rises, the monitoring gets even more intense, and then the harder you try, the faster your erection slips away. And before you know it, you're spiraling again. It's not random. It's not because you're broken. It's because your mind tries to control what your body needs to do naturally. Like, you don't have to control your heartbeat. Your body knows how to do it. Your erection doesn't need you to monitor it. It just needs you to trust it and leave it alone. The third loop is the emotional collapse that happens between sexual experiences. This is very similar to the compounding fear loop, but it's different in an important way that we'll get to. So this is what I call the emotional collapse loop. So one bad night shakes your confidence. So the next time you're even more afraid. The fear creates tension, the tension leads to another bad experience, and the loop deepens. But the difference is that before long, it's not just your sex life that's suffering. It's actually your friendships, your career, your confidence, your sense of who you are. And you don't just lose erections, you lose trust in yourself, which is why this is so painful. You stop feeling like a man. This is why you can't wait for your sex life to be perfect to start rebuilding your confidence. You have to start right now by throwing yourself into the parts of your life that are still standing. Your career, your friendships, your passions, the things that remind you that you're already a man worth respecting. Because trying to fix your sex life while your whole life is collapsing is a lot like trying to patch a tire on a car that doesn't have an engine. It doesn't matter how good the tire is. The car still isn't going anywhere until you rebuild the foundation. Sometimes it's not actually your erection that's holding your life back. It's your life that's out of alignment that's actually bleeding into your erections. So rebuilding your career, your friendships, your passions, it's not a distraction. It's actually part of the medicine. So a man with erection issues and a healthy, growing life is in a far stronger position than a man who's losing both. So if you're not sure what to do, focus on fixing your life. So let's put this all together, because here's what's really happening underneath and how these spirals influence each other. So it all starts with the physical spiral. You lose one erection and it spikes your anxiety. This kicks off the emotional collapse spiral. So your confidence crashes, you start doubting yourself outside the bedroom. As your confidence drops, your baseline anxiety rises higher and higher and higher. And then the next time you're sexual, you walk into the bedroom already primed to spiral. The physical spiral and the emotional spiral, they feed on each other. And it gets faster and faster and faster until they actually create the compounding fear spiral. So it's not three separate problems. It's actually just one reinforcing system that just drags you down one cycle at a time. And here's the really sneaky part. Most of the momentum behind these spirals, it's not created in the bedroom. It's created outside the bedroom, in the days, in the weeks, in the months, where the fear and avoidance and self-doubt, they just quietly compound. So time is what makes the spiral grow. Time is what gives fear room to deepen its roots, and then the longer it runs unchecked, the stronger it gets. So before we talk about how to fix this, there's something you really need to hear. The longer that these spirals run, the deeper they dig in. And if you and I had a conversation the very first time you lost an erection, before the fear built up, before the emotional collapse started, you would have walked out of this situation completely clean. None of these spirals would have been created. But most guys aren't lucky enough to catch it early, mostly because they don't know what they're dealing with. And the longer the system runs, the more pain it creates. Not just in sex, but in confidence, relationships, career, and your whole life. So real talk. If you don't start fixing this right now, it's going to keep getting worse. It'll be so much worse a year from now than it is right now. The fear will get heavier, the self-doubt will get stronger. The life that you actually want is just going to slip further and further away. So you don't have to live like that, but you also can't afford to wait anymore. And trying to fix this alone without support, without structure, is brutally hard. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to start moving now. And The good news is, if the fear can spiral you downward, trust can actually spiral you upward. So it just takes small shifts stacked in the right way to start turning everything around. Because here's what happens when you start moving. Right now, the spirals, they're working against you. The fear is feeding more fear. The failure feeds doubt. The doubt feeds more failure. But the moment you start breaking the old loops, you start building new ones. And you start stacking small wins instead of small failures. So you start trusting yourself instead of monitoring yourself. Even something as small as feeling 5% calmer throughout the day, that's important. Or catching yourself before you start to spiral. These moments are huge wins, even though they feel small. And this is where it becomes really life-changing. Because the same way fear feeds fear, trust feeds trust. One small shift at a time. Confidence feeds relaxation. Relaxation feeds connection. Connection feeds pleasure. And pleasure feeds erections. And stronger erections feed even more confidence. So the loop that used to drag you down actually starts to lift you up instead. And that's exactly what happened for the guy that I mentioned earlier. The one who felt hopeless after 9 months of performance anxiety. He didn't need to be perfect. He just needed to start building small wins. His confidence didn't turn around all at once. It happened step by step. And a few weeks later, he had the best sex of his life. And here's the truth. The how, the real step-by-step process to break these spirals, is exactly what we work on inside my free community. We don't just talk about the problem, we solve it. Step by step, win by win, until your body and your mind are just trust each other. And if you're tired of spiraling, if you're tired of hoping it's going to fix itself, if you're tired of watching the fear steal your life away, and if you're tired of guessing, there's a link down below to join us. So it's free, it's real, and it's built for men who are ready to stop collapsing and start climbing. So the life you want isn't going to build itself. The fear isn't going to fix itself. But you don't have to do it alone. Just click the link in the description to join the community and start stacking your wins. I'll see you inside.